Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to the stream. I'm just setting up right here. Hey, hold on a second. Let me pull up a chair. Yo, how's everybody doing? Can you guys hear and see me okay? Let me know in the chat. I'm trying to figure out if you can hear me and see me. We're gonna start in just a second. I just thought I'll jump in just for a second and say hello before we start the official stream for everybody who's kind of early. So, okay, let's get started. So, Hindenburg report just came out about Lordstown. I'm not surprised. If you remember, about 4 months ago, I did a video basically claiming that, well, I have my questions about Lordstown, and I got a lot of flack for that. Now, Hindenburg Research is taking a stab at this company. I'll be honest with you, I haven't had a chance to read the report. This is going to be my first time reading the report, and I just thought that we might as well do it together, you guys and me, read through it, and kind of if you have any questions while we do it. So it's gonna be completely raw. There's not gonna be any summarized stuff. There's gonna be a long ass stream. We're gonna go through the report and we're gonna see what's up, pretty much, right? So without further ado, let's just jump into it. So the report right now is on the screen. Okay, let's get to it. Okay. Hey, good evening from Dublin. Hey, good evening. Um, okay, let's get started. So the title says The Lordstown Motors Mirage, Fake Orders, Undisclosed Production Hurdles, and a Prototype Inferno. Now, the report was published today. So let's go through it. This is the executive summary for the report. Lordstown is an electric vehicle SPAC with no revenue, no sellable product, which we believe has misled investors on both its demand and production capabilities. The company has consistently pointed out to its book of 100,000 pre-orders as proof of deep demand for its proposed electric vehicle track. Our conversations with former employees, business partners, and an extensive document review show that the company's orders are largely fictitious, oh my goodness, and used as a prop to raise capital and confer legitimacy. So if you remember, I'm just going to pause here for a second. If you remember, that's one of the things that happened with Nikola back in the day. That a lot of pre-orders, right? And those pre-orders were basically just contingent pre-orders. That's the sort of pre-order that doesn't really mean anything, right? It's just essentially, well, I might buy a few trucks and I might not. There was nothing obligatory about those pre-orders. So essentially, I think that's what the claim here is as well. So we've seen this. We've seen this. Somebody says, "Here we go again, Nikola Part 2. Also, no one goes to jail. The band plays on." Yeah, we'll see. We're just getting started here. We're just getting started. It's going to be a long evening. But yeah, so far this is a very similar claim to what we heard in Nikola. So essentially, these empty pre-orders. For example, Lordstown recently announced a 14,000 truck deal from E Squared Energy, supposedly representing 735 million in sales. E Squared is based out of a small residential apartment in Texas that doesn't operate a vehicle fleet. Well, I'd be more interested to see what the agreement actually says. Well, if you understand where I'm going with this, is basically I want to see if this is a binding agreement. When you have pre-orders for vehicles or airplane or any side of type of heavy machinery, right? Those pre-orders, whether it's vehicles, whether it's airplanes, they come in basically two forms. One form is essentially, well, I'm placing a contingent pre-order that doesn't mandate me to buy anything, which I can cancel anytime. Or there's basically an obligatory pre-order, basically saying, well, I'm purchasing whatever X amount of vehicles or airplanes or whatever, and once they're ready of your assembly line, right, I'm getting those. There's nothing I can do to get out of this deal. So that's what I'd be interesting to see. I don't really that concerned about something operating out of an apartment. It might be just an intermediary company. So I don't really. I am interested to see the agreements. I'd be curious to see if Hindenburg actually got their hands on the agreements, because that's the interesting part for me, right? To see what exactly the agreement says. Okay. Hindenburg is known to exaggerate in order to push a short. I mean, a lot of short sellers do, but they've been pretty spot on so far. Let's see. Um, the new Tom Nash. Come expecting the end of the world. Leave slightly more informed on another topic. that's a good. That's a good description of the new Tom Nash. Okay, let's keep going. Let's get educationalized here. So another 1,000 truck, 52.5 million order comes from a two-person startup that operates out of a Regus virtual office. Oh my goodness, with a mailing address at a UPS store. We spoke with the owner who acknowledged it won't actually order any vehicles, instead describing the pre-order as a mere marketing relationship. Well, that is serious. I wasn't sure about the first one, but that is pretty serious, right? If they have actual proof that somebody confirmed that this is just a marketing ploy, that's a lawsuit right there. That's a lawsuit. Um, wow. Okay, so somebody says that he scrolled down the report and he actually saw the non-binding letter. That's huge. That means that those pre-orders are not binding. Essentially, claiming that as future revenue is a Nikola move, and that is massive. Wow. Thank you for letting me know, KW. I appreciate it. Okay, so let's keep going. That's very very important. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, let's keep going. Yet another firm that is supposedly set to buy 500 trucks from Lordstown told us the letters of interest are non-binding. Here we go. It's not like you'd obligate yourself to a pre-order or that you would contractually bind yourself to buying this truck. That's not what they are. Precisely. That's massive. This shit is massive. Cratex, when did they publish this? This was published today, literally, I think just a couple hours ago, maybe an hour or two before. I don't know. But I'm reading this for the first time. I haven't read this before. Um, okay. Andrew says, I was thinking about buying this today. Thankfully, I didn't. Well, let's read through it. So far, it looks pretty damning, to be honest. It doesn't look good for Lordstown. Um, Lordstown CEO Steve Burns has called these arrangements very serious orders. The actual customer agreements, which we present to the first time today, require no deposit and are non-binding. So essentially, no money down, nothing binding. It's essentially letters of intent. Many of the supposed customers do not operate fleets, nor do many have the means to actually make the stated purchases. So it gets worse. The plot thickens. It gets worse. It gets worse. Former employees and litigation records reveal that in order to raise capital and confer credibility, Steve Burns, who's the CEO, right, began paying consultants for every truck pre-order as early as 2016 while he was serving as CEO of Workhorse. Ooh, that is serious stuff. Wow. Ooh, this is ooh. The ramblings of a madman. At this point, it seems very damning. I mean, the report, if they can substantiate these claims, um, those are damning claims. Well, let's keep reading. I'm not going to pass any judgments before I read through the entire thing. I'm sure a lot of you guys like the company, um, but let's just read through it objectively, right? Um, okay. Later, heading into Lordstown's eventual go public transaction in 2020, a small consulting group called Climb to Glory was paid to generate pre orders. Climb to Glory openly described the purpose behind the pre orders game. The faster the pre orders arrived, the greater investors' confidence would be in the company, and the faster funds would flow in. If they have it recorded or in writing, that's a lawsuit right there. That's not really a class action lawsuit. That's actually an SEC investigation right there. If that's actually on record and the company knew about it or made it happen, that's a serious accusation. One company representative that committed to buy 40 trucks through Climb to Glory told us, "I'm not committed to anything, not to buying a single vehicle. I committed to consider buying vehicles. I'd have a lot of questions before I commit to anything." Well, that's pretty serious. So basically, letters of intent. Okay, that's the old playbook from the Nikola, right? That's the Nikola playbook. We've seen this before. Others had similar remarks. The comments of that size 15 is not impossible. representative of the city of Ravina told us about its pre-order. The documents numerous other customers that disclaim any interest actually purchase the vehicles. Okay, so far they're really going at the pre-orders. Essentially, what we've seen so far, based on everything we actually read, that the pre-order numbers were highly inflated. That basically the orders were non-binding. There's no down payments, so claiming it as revenue is pretty much it's pretty much a Nikola playbook. Um, hey Label, hey Ervin, what's up? What's up, Ervin? What's up, Label? Great to see you here. Um, okay, let's keep reading. Despite being allowed to resign from Workhorse, former Syrian employee described how Burns was pushed out of his old company by the board of wasting R&D money and missing promised deadlines. He then launched Lordstown months later. Okay, I guess that's subjective. Let's keep reading. Despite claims that Lordstown will be producing vehicles by September, a former employee explained how the company is experiencing delays and making drastic design modifications, putting them an estimated 3 to 4 years away from production. For example, in mid January, the company totally switched from a plastic exterior to aluminum. Yeah, that would be actually the case. If you're going through a massive redesign, it's going to set you back a couple of years easy. Wow. Um, but Tom Nash's goat. Literally listen to this man talk about tech stock forecast. It's 5 a.m. this morning. Okay, let's keep reading. No, we just. By the way, I'm just letting you know. I'm reading this for the first time. I'm not. This is not rehearsed. I'm responding to it, reacting to this with you together. I haven't read this report, so let's just keep going. So far, the most damning thing we've seen is the pre-orders, and the pre-orders being non-binding and completely just the fluff. And there's also claims that the company actually helped generate the fluff, but we'll see. This other stuff about the CEO getting pushed out and redesigns. I mean, I'd love to see some evidence. It's really interesting, but let's keep going. Despite claims that the battery packs would be manufactured in-house, we were told that the equipment is months away from arriving, let alone being into the production environment. In the meantime, we were told that the battery packs were being put together by hand. Another Nikola playbook. What do you know? What you can't manufacture, just assemble by hand. And that's going to be a slow ramp-up process. Former employees also shared that the company has completed none of its needed testing or validation, including cold weather testing, durability testing, and federal motor vehicle safety standards testing required by the NHTSA. In January 2021, Lordstown's first street road test resulted in the vehicle bursting into flames 10 minutes into the test drive. We share copies of the 911 call and the police report we received through requests. Okay. That in itself, I mean, the vehicle catching fire, I mean, if that's a prototype, I mean, I wouldn't be too bothered with it. We've seen a lot of prototypes crash and burn. I don't think that's really that huge. I guess, right? That's the whole idea of trying a prototype. But I mean, fabricating pre-orders, that's massive, and having a whole redesign of the track, that's probably pretty huge as well. Lordstown only went public in October 2020, but in that brief time, executives and directors have unloaded 28 million of stock. We think that it bodes. Yeah, okay. Insider selling again, not a good look. We think investors will. Okay, so let's go through the questions. We've seen. Okay, guys, we went through the executive summary so far, right? We're going into the actual main report. So if you have any questions at this point you want to ask, or stuff you want to say before we go deep into the actual report, that would be a great time. Somebody says it's all bullshit. I'd love to hear your opinion on that. I mean, let's see. I mean, we're about to read this thing. There you go. Hindenburg burst into flames. Vehicle burst into flames. Thank you for that, Libel. So Manvir here says it's all bullshit. I'm assuming you're talking about the report, right? Well, we'll see. Is this an EV company? Yes, suggests Jamal. It is an EV company. Let's get it. Okay. Let's read through the full report. Let's see how much evidence they have, and let's see what we're dealing with. The executive summary was pretty damning. I won't lie to you. Let's go through the actual report. Okay. This one is fluff. Let's just go to the actual thing, right? Okay. Our research revealed that Lordstown's order book consists, oh my goodness, of fake or entirely non binding orders from customers that generally do not even have fleets of vehicles. According to former employees and business partners, CEO Steve Burns sought to book orders regardless of quality purely as a tool to raise capital and confer legitimacy. In addition, we show how, in desperation to the claim, was demand for the proposed vehicle he paid for customers. Well, essentially, they're saying here that not only the company was actually paying to get these orders in, essentially the orders in itself meant nothing. Essentially, non-binding letters of intent with no down payment. Essentially, I can book an order like this tomorrow, 500,000 vehicles for a brand new company, an LLC that I just set up. Boom, and I can claim, well, I have so much, such and such revenue. It's a playbook. I mean, it's a playbook from the old, Nikola playbook. Um, by the way, somebody says here, time to short the hell out of ride. I don't think shorting any company as a retail investor is a good idea. It's very dangerous, so I wouldn't say. Um, okay, let's. No, guys, don't be shorting the stock. Hey, 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 listen to me. Do not short the stock, please. Shorting stocks as a retail investor is a very dangerous game. Do not short any stocks. Shorting is strictly for institutional investors that can handle loss like that. Do not be shorting anything. Come on, let's get it. Let's keep reading. Okay. No, don't short anything, guys. Stop with the short talk. Okay, let's keep reading the report. Okay, okay. So we also show for the first time the actual Lordstown pre-order agreements, which we received from the former business partners. While the agreements entail zero commitment, ooh, on the part of the buyer, they include clauses about the parties agreeing to work on the press releases to announce the details. So that's very damning. If anything, this is probably where that would be the heart of the matter as far as a future SEC investigation or potential class action lawsuit. By the way, I believe that a class action lawsuit was already announced a few minutes ago, if I'm not mistaken. There probably is already quite a few. Let me pull it up. Let me see if I can show you guys. Okay. Um, yeah, yeah, there's already lawsuits. Yeah, I can see them. I just found a bunch of them. I'll just give you an example. That's one. I'm going to pull it up on the screen just to show you what I'm talking about. So as you can see right here, this is from 15 minutes ago. We already have, and there's a bunch of them. A bunch of law firms have already announced that they're going to be investigating Lordstown for a potential class action lawsuit. So yeah, this is already starting. It's pretty much the same thing that we had with Nikola. If you remember with Nikola, this is exactly what happened. So the rumors started, everybody started talking about it. Then the Hindenburg report came out, and then the investigations. That's for class action lawsuits. Essentially, that's where investors suing the company for misleading them allegedly, right? That has nothing to do with SEC potentially investigating criminal charges here. Um, so, thank you for the 250 euro donation, Makir. What makes a non-binding fake? Did they promise else? I think, Makir, when you don't, when you the idea was here is when you claim that you have pre-orders, and you don't say, well, those are non-binding pre-orders, and you say, well, we have this and this and this is revenue. At least for the potential investor that is considering to invest in the company, that constitutes a misleading a piece of information. And I'll show you what I mean. There's an actual law about it. I'll show you. I'll show you the actual section and the actual definition, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So this should be. I'm gonna look for the actual article for misleading statements. I believe it's either Article 11. Let me find it right here. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm reading the actual article for you. Okay, um, if you have a misleading statement or omission, in this case, omission, omitting the fact that the orders were not pre were not binding, right? If you have a misleading statement or an omission, right? Um, that is of a material fact. I'm sure you would agree that pre-orders for a vehicle company is a material fact, that the company fails to disclose, right? That is the definition of a securities class action lawsuit. So that's the actual definition. I just read it from the actual Section 11. So that's the actual definition. So I would say, at least on the face of it, it seems like there's a lot here to unpack. So I think they had to disclose that if there was no binding orders, they should have said, "Hey, we have non-binding pre-orders." Um, Mihak Robin, thank you for the €5 50. About time we start seeing this in the sector. 3 to 4 years in the future come out. We something maybe games, maybe but dodgy. Thank you for this, brother. Okay, let's keep reading. And by the way, if you take a look at here, this is the actual lawsuit that this law firm is actually trying to initiate. If you take a look at what they're highlighting here, and this is really important, let me make it bigger so you guys can see what exactly they're highlighting, which is exactly what I said earlier, is they're going for the pre-orders. All this other stuff is fluff. I mean, Steve Burns was fired, sure. The vehicle caught fire, sure. Okay, whatever. They redesigned the vehicle, okay. But non-binding pre-orders in the millions, that's where the meat is. That's where the meat on the bone for the lawsuits is. As you can see here, they're really focusing on just consistently pointed out to its book of 100,000 pre-orders. That's the only thing they pointed out in this PR notice that they put about the lawsuit, right? So I told you this pre-orders, this is going to be the matter of this whole thing. The other stuff is just it's kind of it's interesting. It's a little bit tabloidy. A vehicle, a prototype caught fire, whatever. But this is major. I mean, pre-orders. That's the thing. So let's keep reading because I want to see the agreements. It's really interesting. Um. Okay. So this is not that interesting. Okay. Okay. So this was a road test. As you can see here, they're saying it was a road test and the vehicle caught fire. Whatever. I mean, it sucks. I mean, we've seen it with SpaceX. I mean, it's not that too big of a deal for me. A prototype catching fire. Not that. I mean, it's not that major. But I do want to go into the fake, whatever, allegedly fake pre-orders because that's interesting. Okay. Um. Okay, this is interesting. So this is a knock on Steve Burns personally. Somebody says that they spoke to former employees and they basically told them that Steven Burns or Steve Burns, whatever the fuck his name is, that he's a horrible human being and a famous showman and a con artist, whatever. That doesn't really. It's just P.T. Barnum. It just sounds nice for the fluff, but it's nothing there as far as the lawsuit. I mean, you can sue somebody for having his employees say he's a piece of shit. You know what I mean? Um, but let's keep reading. I want to see the interesting stuff, not that bullshit. Burns was pushed out. Okay, so Burns was, even if it's true, let's assume this is true. And I'm trying to be objective here. I'm not trying to defend or say anything. But even if the dude was fired from Workhorse and he started Lordstown, that in itself isn't actionable. So what? So the dude got fired. They started a new company. Sure, whatever. Um, Okay, this is a thing where we actually see the actual damning stuff for the lawsuit and the SEC investigation. I think this is where it gets interesting, boys and girls. Let's check it out. Okay, former senior, former. Thank you for remembering my screw up. Okay. Okay, let's read this because this is interesting. So Burns launched a Lordstown 4 months later with a little more than meaningless pre-orders. More than this later. Okay. Lordstown was formed on Burns about 4 months after he got fired or whatever. According to a former senior technology employee of Workhorse, virtually zero intellectual property was actually shared with Lordstown, aside from designs and a book of roughly 6,000 pre-orders, which Burns has described as sales. Now, this sounds meaningless, but you can't call pre-order sales if they're non-binding. This is, as meaningless as it sounds, this is major. Okay. So, anyways, so here they're saying, okay, so Workhorse didn't share any technology with Lordstown, and I guess even if it's true, again, not actionable. This is not actionable, at least in my opinion. Legitimately, blah blah blah. Okay, next, let's get to the interesting stuff. Um, Okay, the new company quickly bought a closed GM plant, giving hope to the. Okay, so they bought a GM plant, whatever. They used the politicians. You remember that thing where Mike Pence and Donald Trump was promoting the company to get some Ohio votes? I mean, that's maybe there's ethically wrong. And as you can see here, you see the picture of Trump here on on the White House with the truck. Maybe ethically wrong, but again, nothing really criminal here. This is the one. Here we go. Here we go, boys and girls. This is the one. This is the one I've been waiting for. Now we got the fire. All this other nonsense. So listen, I'll give it that. Right? I'm not a Lordstown fan, but hey, if Steve Burns was an asshole, so what? If the prototype caught fire, so what? If you got fired from Workhorse, so what? If Workhorse didn't give them any IP to use for this new company, so freaking what? None of this is actionable. This, however, this is interesting. Yes. Okay. 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 Joshua says every old article says the orders were non-binding. Hey Joshua, do you mind sending us a link um, in the chat to any articles that have the company actually say that? I'd love to see it. Okay, let's keep reading. Okay, Lordstown has consistently claimed that its large order book is a key investment highlight, underscoring a deep demand for the company's products, which have yet to be produced or sold. Okay, here we go. In an interview to Yahoo Finance, this was literally on February 23rd. Oof. This was what? We're talking about 2 weeks ago? Steve Burns focused on this point. We have sold, this is major, 100,000 of these vehicles to various fleets across America. Really big appetite. So he's saying they're pre sold. It's a very interesting term. The sold thing is sounds like it could be misleading given oof um Ryan, I agree with this thing, but I don't think that's ever been misrepresented by Tesla, at least to the best of my understanding. Um, here we go. I think Justin just hit the nail on the head. Justin saying nothing wrong with pre-orders that are not binding, right? I agree 100%. However, the issue, as Justin just pointed out, is calling them sales. When you call them sales, that's where you have an issue. Yeah, I agree with this. Well, let's keep reading. I'll explain why. At least for the class action lawsuit, it's when you have a material point that's being omitted from the investors and they make decisions based on partial information. That's a class action lawsuit. Okay, let's keep going. Lordstown focuses on selling fleets, which are typically defined as businesses that have purchased 5 vehicles in a year or 15 total in its operation. Burns has regularly touted the pre-sold vehicles to the media and Lordstown's press releases. For example, when Jim Cramer pressed Burns about the commitment represented by these orders, Burns referred to them as very serious orders. Ooh, you know what? We're getting here in the territory of it really reminds me a lot of Nikola when they were saying, well, behold, the truck in motion. I mean, he's trying. It sounds like he was trying to not say something, I mean, something that was completely wrong, but by saying that they're very, very serious. I don't think you can describe a very serious order as a non-binding order with no down payment. But again, at least at this point, I think Steve Burns was smart enough not to say anything incriminating. Thank you for that, Jarno. Jarno. You're from Finland, I would assume, with that name. I had a friend, Jarno, from Finland, my neighbor. If you knew this wouldn't be short. No, I don't advise shorting at all. Waiting for a new Tom Nash shirt, it gets worse. It gets worse. Um, I just now okay. Yeah, let's keep going. At Lordstown launch event with Mike Pence, Burns says we have our whole year, our first year of production already pre-sold. Oh, it's a matter of interpretation, but I think any reasonable court will have definitely an issue with these statements, especially given how. Let's try to find. Okay, this is the executive summary I was looking for. So, contrary to what Steve Burns is saying, oh yeah, here we go. Here's the letter. Non-binding letter of intent. It's not even pre-orders. It's just LOIs. Hey, this is just an LOI. This is worse than I thought. It's an LOI. dude. An LOI is a meaningless document that means nothing. It's essentially, well, it's just maybe I'll buy it, maybe I won't. It's an LOI. Oh wow. Hey, shout out to Yarno for the €5 donation. Haha, Finland it is. Keep up the good work. Let's get it, brother. I love Finland. Okay. Tom, I like how you can smell the BS. I have no idea how to do this thing, but I always trust my gut when it comes to sensing white lies. Exactly. I don't think it's a white lie. I think it's major. An LOI, a non-binding LOI, is not a pre-order. Sorry, it's just not. I think it's worse than the report was saying actually. And I'm specifically focused on the pre-orders because that's where I think the issue is. Not with Burns being an asshole allegedly or getting fired or any trucks catching fire. I mean, who cares? This is the major part, right? Look at this. This is important. I love how they highlighted the important stuff. Nature of agreement. No reservation of payment. Oh wow. So this is serious shit. No, this is major. Check it out. Can you guys see this? No reservation of payment. That means nothing. The reservation is a non-binding commitment. I have an issue with the non-binding commitment because it's a self-contradicting statement. Non-binding commitment that does not require payment of any kind unless and until a legal and binding purchase agreement is signed. So essentially, when you say until a legal and binding purchase agreement is signed, it means that this is not a legal and binding purchase agreement. Essentially, this document is not legally binding. In fact, the document itself says it that it's not a legally binding document. Let me show you. Read number two. Just read number two. There's nothing complicated about it. This letter itself, this LOI itself says this is not valid until an actual legally binding letter is signed. Um, hmm, yeah, no deposits, nothing binding, and the letter itself says it's not binding. I mean, Hindenburg loads EVs. I mean, he made a lot of shorts about different companies which are not EVs, I believe. Um, Nicole was about to take a nap when I got on. Okay, so let's keep reading. It gets worse. Okay. Oh wow, that's the kind of thing. Number six. Look at number six, guys. Look at number six. I really want you to look at number six because number six is really something you don't find in LOIs. And I've been as part of my work, I've been a part to a lot of LOIs for my clients, with different capacities. I've never seen an LOI talk about what the press release is going to be about what the LOI says, because there's really nothing to put out there. It's a fucking LOI. I've never seen number six in any LOI I've seen in my life. Allegedly, yeah, it's massive. So let me just read you what it says. Oh my! I've never seen anybody put this in a LOI. I've never seen this. Possible press release. Subject to review and agreement, the parties will consider cooperating in drafting and releasing a press release disclosing the subject matter contained in this agreement. By the way, this is major. I've never seen this. A press release of a non-binding LOI. Damn. Oof, that's a good question. Big Dyro asks, why are companies like that even allowed to go public in the first place? That's because they're SPACs. That's the issue with SPACs. It's much less regulation. That's one of the issues. Um, this reads like a hit piece, not research. But I mean, hey, Alexander, I agree with you that a lot of this was kind of fluff. The truck catching fire and Steve Burns being an asshole and getting fired. But hey, Alexander, what do you think about this agreement? The fact that it's a non-binding letter of intent with no down payment, and do you think that this is okay with how he represented it in the media? I'm just curious to hear your opinion. I'm not attacking you, so it's not an attack. Let me know what you think. I'd love to have a discussion. Um, Somebody says Steve Burns was not fired. I honestly don't care. I don't think that's the issue. Whether he was fired or not, what what bearing does it have on this? I mean, who cares if he was fired? I mean, I've been fired before. Everybody's been fired at least once in their life. I mean, so what? Even if he was fired because he was a terrible CEO, who cares? Um, I don't know. It's just I don't care that it was fired, not fired. I think the main issue is these pre-orders. But I would love to hear Alexander's opinion because Alexander said um, that he thinks it's a hit piece. Yeah, okay, let's keep reading. Okay, okay. Yeah, first to market, 100,000 pre-orders as of January 11th, 2021. Delivery material. Yeah, that's suspect. I won't lie. Um, okay, let's read this. We spoke to two former sales reps that helped gather the pre-orders for the large sound endurance and for its predecessor, the Workhorse W15. Okay, good. Um, One told us they are soft orders. They're absolutely. It's a not a firm commitment. It's a let's take a look at it and we'll decide then. But they do have a lot. I have no idea if that's a fabrication or an exaggeration or the real deal. But I know some of the people who have those orders and they are not firm orders. They are just soft orders. Yeah, that was the main issue. You're right to have some apprehension. I think the way it's being communicated, especially to the media, is probably not accurate. That's what he just said there and then. That's a class action lawsuit and misrepresentation to the media about the public company, especially with regards to a material aspect. Um, so yeah, okay. So that's the whole issue here. Let's see if there's any major issues here. Um, okay, because I don't honestly care about the other stuff, the truck catching fire. I mean, stuff like that. Eastcourt Energy deal. Okay, they signed a 735 million deal for 14,000 trucks from an entity. And I don't care about that, to be honest. So I'll tell you why I'm not concerned about this specific thing. Um, that it might be just an intermediary. It might be just a company that kind of is like a realtor for cars. They might be taking orders, placing them somewhere. I don't really care that it's a small tiny company. That I'm not really concerned about that at all. Um, yeah, whatever. I don't care that they're small. Whatever. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't honestly don't care. Okay, next. Innovation LLC F52. Okay, this one is interesting. It shows another 1,000. I mean, so they're basically going through the orders, showing that the orders were not legitimate, that people just make faking orders, whatever. Um, yeah, okay. Another 515. Okay, so here's the thing. What we have here essentially is, if I understand this correctly, so basically what this whole Hindenburg report is basically about one main topic, which is the quality of the pre-orders, if I understand correctly, right? Um, and I'll comment on that in a second. I'll comment on that in a second. I think it's really interesting. Yeah, so it's the pre-orders. That's the thing. The pre-orders and the other stuff I'll talk about in a second. Oh, I think that's the truck that caught fire. Oh yeah, okay. So that's the one who caught fire. Okay, got it. Okay, so anyway, so I'll comment and then guys, if you want to jump on, hey James, I don't have any investment in the company. James is asking if it's a non-biased opinion. I am no short and not long on this company. I've never owned Lord Sound stock. I've never shorted it, and I don't have any positions, so it's completely non-biased. I have nothing with this company. Um, Somebody says iPhone catch fire. This is a track? Yeah, I don't care. I think that the fact that it caught fire is irrelevant. Okay, so basically the way I understand this is, somebody says that he liked my FTNT call, that it went up. Nice. Good, good. I'm happy to hear. Anyway, so listen, let's talk about what the hell is going on, allegedly. So the Hindenburg report basically claimed a lot of different things. They claim that um, Steve Burns was an asshole, a liar, and a con man, allegedly. That he was fired from Workhorse. That this company was started with zero or very close to zero intellectual property that came from Workhorse, and and that they've redesigned the truck multiple times, and their delivery dates are further ahead, 3 to 4 years than was expected, and pretty much everything I said until now, it's irrelevant to a class action lawsuit. I don't think none of this matters. In case you haven't noticed, on the screen we have a truck catching fire. I mean, it doesn't really matter if their prototype caught fire, if Steve Burns got fired, if it was an asshole, if it was none of this matters. The only thing that matters is that if Steve Burns went on TV multiple times and went on mainstream media and social media and basically represented these 100,000 pre-orders as sales, basically saying, hey, we sold already 100,000 vehicles, while in fact we just saw, let me scroll up, when in fact we just saw that this thing was a letter of intent, and as such not even a binding one, a non-binding letter of intent for the potential of possibly maybe buying some vehicles in the future. So essentially, if you went on TV, went on social media, and represented this as future revenue, as sales, without disclosing, um, basically without disclosing his position, the fact that he has, I mean, empty LOIs, which is it is an empty LOI in my opinion. When you have something that says literally, I'm reading this. This is section 2. This is not valid until a legal and binding purchase agreement is signed. So essentially, no down payment, and this is not valid until they decide to make it valid. So representing this as sales is definitely a very interesting case for class action lawyers to come in and take a look at it. I think it's a very interesting. It might actually be actionable as far as a class action lawsuit for the investors, because it is an omission or misrepresentation of a material detail that the investors would have wanted to know before making a decision whether they want to invest or sell a piece of stock of this company. That's kind of the legal definition of what misleading investors are is. I'm not saying neither. VG asked me, is Lordstown a fraud? I do not know. It's not my place to say if they're fraud or not. But I'm saying, based on the evidence I've just seen, this letter of intent versus the statements that were allegedly made on the mainstream media by the CEO, it's problematic. It's problematic. It's problematic, definitely. Nikola is lucky to be backed by German industrial behemoth Bosch. Right doesn't have a big brother like that and will zero soon. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Um, we'll see what happens. Um, this is why you got to do your homework as an investor. By the way, guys, I just want to let you know there was already a short report about this company a couple months back. There was a short report by another short seller named Fuzzy Panda. I'm going to pull it up on the screen. I know that the name kind of sounds ridiculous, but uh, I'm going to show you the report and when it was posted. It was a workhorse. Sorry. So in October 2020, the previous company of Steve Burns, Workhorse, was targeted as part of another short seller called Fuzzy Panda with very similar claims, allegedly. Um, yeah, by the way, if anybody wants to, a name you can believe in, hey, I'm going to put the link. If anybody wants to come in and speak their mind, want to call in, I'm going to put the link in the chat so you guys can jump on the chat and, say your piece, right? So this is the link if somebody wants to jump in and share their opinion for a few minutes. This is the link, um, and just click the link, jump on the studio, and we'll have you up and we'll see what you have to say. Hold on, working on my headphones. Okay, here we go. So again, putting the link in the comments if anybody wants to jump in. You can dial in basically by clicking this link. Here we go. So if you just stay in the waiting room and I'll pull up people one by one. So Floodridge, you're on. I'm pulling you up.
Hello.
What's going on, brother?
I'm doing good. I should have rephrased that question. I wasn't saying. Hey, is
First of all,
I was just confused. I was saying because I came in late. I was just asking. Is this document and all this information pretty much saying potentially Lordstown might have not been very truthful?
you think? What do you think about the letter of intent? By the way, what should I call you? Floodbridge? Floodridge? Do you have like a human name?
Yeah, this is just an old 10-year-old Minecraft name. Flubberdiggle.
Okay.
It's absolutely nothing.
Okay. So, what do you think about this thing? I think that's the main thing here. I don't give a shit about the guy getting fired or the truck catching fire. I think this thing versus the representations in the media. I think that's where they're gonna get them potentially.
I I mean, I'm a degenerate day trader, so I don't know jack shit. I was just
Okay,
I'll
man.
stop wasting your time, man. But
You're
yeah,
not wasting my time. Thank you for jumping on. I appreciate it.
yeah, have a go.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, Matt, you're up next. I'm pulling you up. What's going on, Matt?
Hey, what's up?
What's going on, buddy?
Honestly, it's Tesla or nothing. Like, if you think about it, if you think about Moore's law, Lordstown Motors, they're not going to make as many batteries as Tesla, so their costs are not going to go down. Tesla's costs are going down as they make a ton of batteries. So I wouldn't bet on anything else other than Tesla. Anything else, any other EV other than Tesla is stupid.
Well, you mean as far as the Cybertruck versus the whatever they have coming up?
Yeah, I mean anything Tesla makes, because their battery production, the more batteries they produce, because they're getting a lot of orders, they actually have real profits. They're making real batteries now. The more batteries they make, the better, the lower the costs go, according to Moore's law.
Yeah, it's Moore's law, Wright's law, whatever law you want to choose. Who's ever ahead in this tech game probably has the pole position. I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah,
But
Tesla is Tesla is like several years ahead of any other EV that's on right
yeah,
now.
do you want to explain the law to our viewers, or should I? Basically, the law says I'll just jump in. Essentially, it's the exponential improvement in the machine that makes the machine, which basically kind of puts you the guy who's ahead, way ahead of the competition. But I agree. I agree. It's a good point. Well, let's see what happens, bro. Let's see what happens. Thank you for stopping by, Matt. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
No worries, brother. Okay, Drew, you're on. What's going on, buddy? You're muted. That's the meme of 2020. You're muted. That's kind of the sentence you keep hearing. You gotta unmute your mic, buddy.
Yeah. You said something earlier that reminded me of Enron when they showed their future sales as current sales and pumped up their revenue, their current revenue. That just reminded me of what.
Yeah, if you haven't seen, there's a really good I agree 100%, Drew. That's a good comment, good catch. The smartest guy in the room, the smartest guys in the room. There's a documentary that's been done on Enron, and specifically, they were talking a lot about what you just mentioned. Essentially, they were creating these, fake sales and using a mark-to-market accounting to
Yeah,
make them look like they're legitimate sales. I agree. Here, I don't think it's an accounting fraud like they had in Enron. I don't think they actually registered the sales in their financials. I haven't seen them, but it sounds like more of a facade, allegedly, right, in front of the mainstream media, rather than any accounting frauds. But we'll have to see the financials to actually comment on that. But it's a good catch, Drew. I agree.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to chime in for.
No worries, brother. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. Later, buddy. Okay, Maker Meter, you're on. What's going on, buddy?
Hello. I heard you like
What's-
Finland.
It's you. It's Jarno?
Yeah,
No, it's
I'm also from Finland, actually. I just have a fake name.
Okay. Dude,
But,
how can you not like Finland? I mean, you guys had the original Jackass. I forgot their name. They were so good.
yeah. Those. Oh my
I forgot
God.
their name.
I got
Yeah,
totally like.
Yeah.
I think they're Dudson.
Dudesons. Yes, the Dudesons.
Yeah. But
what's going on, brother?
I really like them, but I was thinking about the non-binding. I think they mention everywhere about non-binding. At least they fixed their website now. But
I think they show a couple of examples here of you see this interview with.
I think that is just some interviews. The CEO says that they are sales, so he refers to them incorrectly. But I think that the investors, everyone who has done their homework, should have known that they're non-binding. I think even the Jack Spencer, the Lordstown super fan, I think even he mentions in one of his videos that they're non-binding. But I need to recheck it. I didn't have much time. I just I just started listening live. So, but
I think the main question,
known.
as you say, I think the main question would be exactly that. None of this other fluff matters. The car catching fire or this other nonsense. The big question of this case will be, did he make inaccurate representations of material stuff, and that's definitely material stuff. I mean, people want to know about how serious are the orders, right? So the question will be factual, like you just mentioned, right? Did he say it or did he not? And I think that if he said it at least once, that's already grounds for a class action lawsuit. As a CEO of a public company, you don't have to have that luxury, basically saying, "Well, a couple of times I said it right, a couple of times I fucked up."
Yeah.
That's the whole idea of a public. So we'll see what happens. We'll see. It's a factual question, but yeah, good
Yeah,
point.
I think he has definitely misspoken. I actually got lucky. I sometimes check the Jack Spencer, and I put my monies to Workhorse, but I was like, nah, for Lordstown. I'm now like totally like, yes. No money there, no money there.
Hey, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. We'll
Yep.
see what happens, bro. But thank you for stopping by. I
Cheers,
appreciate it.
Bye.
All the best. Okay, Michael, you're up. What's going on, buddy? We're
Hi,
going
how you
interactive.
doing?
We're going interactive today, buddy.
I'm cool. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. What's up?
So Lordstown, I am an investor. Okay.
Okay.
I've traded it in and out, and when it's gone up, I've got it. I've sold it, got out. I bought it back today in the dip. It is a real company. They've bought the site from GM. So the problem is it's 2 years away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the guy's made a mistake. It's 2 years away. If you're prepared to take that risk and trade it a little bit, you're fine. Okay, but it's not going to be September as they say right now. So there's, they say that they're going to have this car out in September. It's not going to happen. I've traded Workhorse. I've traded Lordstown. I've traded X Fleet. I've traded a lot of these companies, and so much of it is about social media hype.
Yeah, definitely. All the EV specs have gone through
Yeah.
the same route of creating the hype. I agree.
Yeah. And what makes me really amazed is if you actually look at it, Volkswagen is probably the world's biggest EV manufacturer. And
Yep.
they're probably going to win this game along with, sure, Tesla's going to have that niche in the market, maybe 25, 26%. But Volkswagen, Hyundai are probably going to be the two other big players in this market. One Korean, one German.
Okay,
But,
that's fair. We'll see. We'll see. But do you think that it was done intentionally? I mean, do you think he got confused accidentally, or I think the question would be, well, if he got confused accidentally, that's fine.
The problem with SPACs is there's so many options. Yeah. So these CEOs have got a lot of weird options. Even Tattoo Chef, they did their results the other day, and there was like a lot of weird expenses because of the SPAC process and the options process. And sometimes I really feel they drive their share price, and So sometimes
we'll
they say things, but you have to be very active. You cannot buy these stocks and not be active. You've got to be watching it all the time.
Okay, Michael, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it, buddy.
It's definitely not a Palantir.
No, but I appreciate that it's not a Lordstown bash stream. We're just trying to figure out what's going on. So
I actually think in the end they're going to make it. I actually really do think they're going to make it, but it's because GM has kind of got 10% of it, and
okay, buddy.
GM.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, cool.
Thank you for stopping by, buddy. Okay, Grammar, you're next. What's going on, buddy?
Hey Tom, how you doing? How's it?
I'm good. What's going on?
Just on these, these Hindenburg reports. I mean, there was one out a couple of months ago against Tattooed Chef, like a Kerrisdale report and Citron reports. I mean, these are just reports, pretty much. I mean, I'm not saying there's no substance to them, but they've got clients who've got probably most likely got a short position in these companies, and they're just putting out these reports just to force the price down that little bit more. Like if you look at Lordstown the last couple of weeks, the price is on a downward trend. Their client probably got in, maybe a month or two ago to short this stock. So they're putting out this report just to squeeze the last bit out of it, get that price down further, close out their position. And it's kind of easy pickings, because these companies, they talk themselves up. They've got great plans, they've got great designs, they paint a great picture of the future, but they've really got very little substance beyond the idea and some minor amount of technology or patent. So they're quite easy to actually pick apart if you kind of really examine what the company is producing and what it's actually doing. And Lordstown's a pretty good example of that. And then when you got a CEO who kind of reminds you of Trevor Milton at Nikola, that,
Yeah, definitely.
they talk themselves up so much, hydrogen trucks and renders and the Badger and all this kind of stuff, but they actually haven't got a product. They haven't sold a single thing, and they're just leaving themselves very exposed to be kind of picked apart like this, and that's just what's happening,
But as you
And
can see here on the screen, it actually obviously worked. Look at the dip.
yeah, it works. I mean, I think it's down 15% today. So, if you put the chart back, a month, you'll just kind of see the downward trend over the last. There you
Mm-hmm.
go.
Mm-hmm.
From like
Mm-hmm.
$26, $27. Now it's down to 15. They'll probably close out their short position in a day or two when all this kind of dies down and the share price kind of consolidates. And job done. That's what these guys are doing.
The question is though, with every with every short seller, right? What's the motivation, right? So beyond just obviously they have been fully transparent with the fact that the motivation is to drive the share price down.
Absolutely, yeah.
However, I mean, is it actually a fraudulent behavior being exposed, or are they bidding on a helpless company that is in a bad shape? That's
I
always the
mean,
question to ask. I mean, GME was a good example of predatory short selling, right? So
Mhm.
is this case A or case B? I don't know. What's your opinion?
I think the companies leave themselves exposed because, like Michael was saying just a few minutes ago, these guys really talk themselves up.
No
And
worries,
they,
Matthew. Sorry,
Matthew,
sorry,
sorry,
Grammar.
apologies. They overinflate everything they're doing. They over exaggerate, everything because they need to get themselves out there. They're looking for attention. So they have to inflate the truth. And these short sellers are coming in thinking, okay, this is an easy enough target. If we can pop that balloon, there's some easy money to be made here. And they're kind of exaggerating, the issues at Lordstown as well. Now, they're talking about sales. I mean, they
Yeah.
haven't sold anything.
So they
So
obviously hyped up the stock. They obviously,
yeah,
he shouldn't have been saying that those are sales. However, here's the question for you: whether you like Hindenburg or not, if people invested based on basically on this information, and they said, well, this is a real company, 100,000, and they actually made investments and they actually lost money, they'll need to be compensated. It's just it's quite simple.
yeah, in theory, they'll need to be compensated. I'm not sure if they ever will be or not. But I mean, yeah, I mean, if you're investing in a company that's arguably misleading shareholders, well, they should be held accountable for that. Will they or
Yeah,
not be?
we'll
I'm not so
see.
sure. I'm
Yeah,
not so
yeah, I agree with that. You never know with these class action lawsuits; they take years and years to go on. You never know. But hey, Grammar, thank you for joining. I appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate the time, Tom. Great show.
No,
Thanks.
thank you for joining in. I love having the opportunity to speak with you guys. Thank you so much.
Great stuff. Thank you.
Okay, Stonks, you're up. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
All right.
We hope
cool.
you're not naked.
I'm not. Also, I just made this name. Just I was like, oh, what's the quickest way to make a name?
Stonks. Okay, what's going on?
yeah.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? What are you thinking?
I honestly, I'm not super familiar with this stock in particular. I have kind of like a broader question for you.
Mm-hmm.
How do you sort of go about cutting through the noise with these kind of stocks? Because like, especially nowadays, all these SPOs, there's like a million companies out there, right? And you don't really know when something like this might pop up, where they like release like a misleading statement or, this kind of thing. What's your method of like trying to verify this? Because obviously, like as a retail investor, we don't have like the access to all
Yeah.
the resources that like a hedge fund would, or
Mm-hmm.
What's
Well,
your
I would say the warning signs are always there. If you look back at Nikola, and the people have this, the it's like where you have the when you're starting to start the fire, right? So you can the smoke comes out before the fire. So always these warning signs. It's like when you are in a relationship and you ignore the warning signs because you're in love. It's the same thing with the stock like this, And so with Nikola, we had it months before it blew up, and same here. If you take a look back in October, I mentioned this. In October, Fuzzy Panda put out a report, a very damning report about about Lordstown Motors. Now, Lordstown Motors is not the same company. Sorry about Workhorse. Apologize. So
Yeah.
Workhorse is not the same company. It's a different company. However, there's a really clear bond between Lordstown and Workhorse. One owns the other stock. They share a former CEO, whatever. So that was a warning sign for me. I was like, oh wow. So this guy started this company and then he left, and now this company. So the warning signs are always there. Some bullshit usually leave trails. And if you hear a lot of noise about a company, usually it's worth taking a second look. The other part is I haven't seen any sales. I mean, I just specifically I don't like looking at companies that have zero sales.
Yeah,
Um,
like if they're just promising future returns.
yeah,
that's
it's a
the
story.
point,
If it's a story, exactly, it's a story stock. I particularly don't invest. If you take a look at my list of Excel companies that I talk about, you only find one company that has no sales, and probably my worst company that I cover is Check Cap. Was one, and I was so in love with the product. I was like, fuck it. But it's like 1 out of 100, right? I usually try to stay, even with BNGO. You know what sold me on BNGO was basically the fact that they already had $600,000 in actual revenue. They actually sold devices, so okay, that works. People are buying it. So unless you have actual, shekels coming into the revenue, I'm probably not a good fit
Well,
for
and
them as
also
an
if it's
investor.
just based on news and you're buying the
Yeah,
news, you're buying too late.
yeah,
You know,
usually,
it's
yeah.
usually, except for in rare circumstances, you're already
Buy
past
the
it.
rumor, sell the news.
Yeah, exactly. Before I
Yeah,
go, I just wanted to thank you. I appreciate your take on things. Like especially a lot of these other YouTubers. Well, not all of them, but some of them. They'll be like, "Oh, buy this," and it's just like, and you're just like, "Hey, buy like valuable companies that like you think will actually be
exactly.
something." I appreciate that take.
I think it's a good idea for you as an investor to do that, because if shit hits the fan, then you're not particularly concerned.
Yeah,
If a stock you're in love with loses 15% in a day and nothing really changed materially for the company, you're not going to be selling so fast. You're not going to be paper handing, that shit, because you have faith.
that
If you're
was my
just
biggest
speculating,
mistake when I first started investing.
yeah, you got to have
Especially,
patience.
yeah, especially before I started studying for the CFA.
Oh, so you're going through the CFA. Congrats. That's a
I am,
tough. Oh, hey, hang in there. Stay
yeah, it's
strong.
rough.
We'll see you. We'll see you in 2 years.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you for joining.
Yeah, thanks.
Later,
See ya.
brother. Guys, if you want to join the stream and speak your opinion, share your opinion, the link is in the chat right now. Swing by, come in. I'm going to be placing you in the waiting room. Eddie, you're next. What's going on, brother?
Hey, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you perfect. You actually have a good mic. What's
Awesome,
going on?
awesome. You must be this new headset.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was just saying, normally when it comes to this stuff, there is smoke, there's a possibility of fire. So
yeah.
those time mores, I'm not saying they're bad or they're good, but the fact that they're trying to ride on this sales that are not real sales, that automatically throws up a red flag.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So it's just that if you're an investor, then you need to start looking a little bit closer into it and make sure that, you know, you're not dropping your money in there and then you're sinking with the ship. So
Yeah.
that's all it is. I'm not in for it. I'm not out for it. I'm just basically joining up and, giving my 2 cents, I guess.
No, that's valuable. I couldn't agree more. I think here's the thing, which I think you hit the nail in the head. If you are the CEO of a public company, you don't have the luxury of making mistakes. Specifically, not making it over and over again, allegedly, by creating this false sense of revenue, which I think it's it's at the very least it's indicative of how you run your business, in my opinion. So if that's what you communicate to me before you have sales, I mean, I just don't think it creates a lot of trust for potential investors. So, hey, but hey, we just guys on the internet. What do we know? But we'll see what happens with the stock. I'm not a fan of it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not going to say that I'm 100% objective, but I try to be when I look at the evidence here, and it seems like there might be a case here. There might be a case here. The report seems um, a little bit all over the place. There's a lot of different things there, but specifically on the pre-orders, there seems to be a lot of meat on the bone there. If they actually can get some recordings of him going on, Jim Cramer and saying that, he's going to have a problem, in my opinion.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
appreciate it,
Okay.
Tom. You always do
Hey,
an awesome job, man.
thank you for jumping on, Eddie. I love having the opportunity to speak to you guys. That makes my day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Have a good one.
Later, brother. If anybody else wants to jump on the stream and share their opinion, you're welcome to. I'm going to post the link right here. We're going to be signing off in a few. So a few last people that want to stop by and share their opinion, you're welcome to. Okay, so thank you for everybody who jumped in and spoke. I think that was very interesting to hear a lot of opinions. We had a guy who was a fan of the company, and he made his case. We had a lot of people who shared my opinion, but this is echo chamber, right? We're not trying to basically shut up people who have different opinions. So that's I think that's, for me, it's a very interesting report. I think there's a lot there for the comedic value, if you know what I mean. And the truck going on fire, it's very interesting. I mean, it looks raunchy, you know what I mean. And the guy, ex-employee saying he was an asshole or a liar, whatever. It's all tabloidy, but I think the main hit is those sales. If he was representing sales while having LOIs, I think that's a major issue. I think this company is definitely from the school of thought of Nikola. When we had a lot of these first EV concept cars coming out and just getting a lot of money in the stock market. I don't think nowadays in 2021, if you come out with a EV spec, you're going to be getting so much money like you had in 2020 with these guys. But let's see what happens. Hey, JKR, you're on. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, Tom, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. What's going on, buddy?
Yeah, not bad. I only caught halfway through, so I might have missed a few things, but I think what you were saying were really interesting. And I think you've done such a good job to give like a balanced view. Like I think sometimes these sort of things, it's so easy to go for one side, but I think you're giving it a really good shout.
Yeah, we're not echo chambering anything here. We're just trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. I mean,
yeah,
we're trying to give value to everybody here. It's not going to be any value if we just bash the company. Oh,
yeah.
they're. But I think that. So what are your thoughts? Let me know. What are you thinking?
I think the problem is I think management is such a big thing for like a make or break of an investment. And I think when you look at someone like Steve Burns, the big red flag I got a few months ago is I saw that the Fuzzy Panda report, and I was like, okay, that's because you were connected in that a little bit. I don't know if you actually saw like the full report, but there was like a SEC filing about the media pushing company of Workhorse, which obviously they were tied together, and they were fined for like stock promotions through Workhorse. And that's when Steve Burns were there. And it's like, oh, okay, it's not directly linked to him, but he was connected to a advertising agency linked with that. And you're like, okay, that's not.
I'm going to pull it up on the screen for you so you can actually have the reference here. This is the October, yeah.
It's somewhere on there at some point. But
the promotion that they did on the YouTube and social media, right? Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. I think that was like back in like 2018 when he was there as CEO. And then obviously now to be in another company and then to have a few things going wrong, I think that's just I
think this is what you're looking for. Is this one? I think that's the case, right? Yeah, 420 videos. Yeah, I remember that. That's the one you're looking for.
Yeah. There was like a new one and there was a previous one as well. And I think that when you got a management team that starts having a few red flags like that, I think it's always a bit, sure, you can be in the wrong place at the wrong time once, but then when you start having it twice. But I think you've also got to take the consideration as well, is, we know that short sellers are always going to exaggerate things for personal gain, aren't they? That's always a thing you've got to be careful of. We've seen it multiple times with companies where they've done it for personal gain, but there's definitely a few, when you start seeing these things a few times, I think it's a little bit worrying. But on the side of it, what you were talking about earlier about, is there actual evidence? about them actually. I think there's a few times when you actually go through the report, the short report, and you click on some of the articles, there's actually a Yahoo Finance link where it says pre-sold actually in the Yahoo Finance.
Yep.
So I think there's a few things where they have used the wrong terminology there.
You're getting compliments from the chat. So this is JKR. Well said. Spot on. I agree. I think patterns of behavior. Once a cheat, always a cheat. You know what I mean? So I don't know if he was linked to that. I also want to say that I think a lot of people have made videos about Workhorse on YouTube and had no affiliation with the company. So just to make that clear, I don't think any single video that was made about the company was promoted or not.
100%.
But again, my stance on promotion of stocks. If you've seen my tweets, so I've been pretty. Let's put it this. I was pretty adamant and being mild. My thoughts about this are very clear.
Man, I love that video you put out a few months ago about it.
Dude, it's not a video game. You can't sponsor a stock review. It's a fucking public company. You can't sponsor that shit. I mean, it's just plain wrong. I mean, whatever. Listen,
I mean, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, like, it's 100%. Like, when you're on this sort of platform, you should always give out your honest opinion about stocks. And realistically, you look at a few situations. You're like, okay, if you wasn't getting paid that amount to talk about that stock, would you have talked about it in that manner? Would you maybe have put a few more
probably not
balanced view in? Would you put a bit more negatives in? And I always think, like, you're in a privileged place to talk about these companies, and you always want to give your honest opinion. And
somebody's asking if you have a YouTube channel. Do you have one?
Yeah, JK Investing.
You want to shout out your channel? Yeah, let's go. So let's. I didn't know that, but if you like this dude, I think he sounds interesting. Check out his channel. Go subscribe. Why not? We're trying to help out fellow creators for sure.
Cheers, Tom.
No, my pleasure, and good luck. How many subscribers do you have at this point?
9,000 at the moment.
Here we go. Let's get this man to 10,000.
Yeah, that's the dream.
Let's get it. Good job, man. Congrats on almost 10,000. 100 next.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
Yo, hit me up in the DM. I'll try to bring you on the show once, okay? Like for real.
Cheers,
My pleasure. Hey, no worries. Later, brother. Okay. The Greatest Reset. That's a cool name. What's going on, brother? Hey, what's up?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you fine. What's going on?
I just wanted to make a point. When the Hindenburg research posted their short thesis on Nikola, I don't know if you remember, but Trevor Milton took down all his tweets starting June 2nd, which is when they went public. And the reason I think for that is because everything that he said after them going public is where he can personally get in trouble, go to jail, and basically be sued for by the SEC. Now, I think it's going to be interesting to see if something similar like that is going to happen with Lordstown. Watch the next couple of days if any of the public statements since they went public get redacted, disappeared, or any of that.
Yeah. But that would be a dumbass move, since everything that you ever put on Twitter, you can recreate. I mean, you can easily recreate all those.
But I'm only assuming that that's what Trevor Milton got advised by his lawyers. And if there's something similar going on here, I think it's
Trevor Milton is going to go down in history as the guy with the worst response to a short sale report. He's basically, yep, you're right. He admitted everything, and he didn't even notice he was doing it. That was. I was. What am I reading? When I was reading his response, is this real? Hey, whatever. Listen, I think it's an interesting indicator. I think you're right. If we'll see a lot of scrubbing going on social media, I think that's a good indication. But I think in 2021, it's impossible to scrub things like this. It's already probably documented and saved and screenshotted. You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm sure it is. I just think that as a basically like a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah, definitely.
Trevor Milton if this happens here, you kind of know that they're onto something, and it's kind of gives you backup to Hindenburg's thesis.
Yeah, definitely. My mom and Vinay think I'm hilarious. Already 2 people. Here we go. Good shit. Next
You're
Theranos.
great.
I'm not sure it's next Theranos. Hey, let's be clear. I don't think they were accused of fraud like that. I just think there's a lot of claims about misbehavior. So let's be clear about the accusations here. I don't think this is Theranos. But there's definitely, I would say, right, you would agree with me. There's a lot of questions they need to answer. Let's put it this way. But thank you for stopping by on the stream. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, we have Stonk 2. Are you related to Stonk 1?
No, I'm not. But just like him, I was like, oh crap, I need a name quick. So I was like, all right, I'll do Stonk 2. So shout out to the OG Stonk 1. No relation, but yes, he did inspire me.
Dude, that's amazing. We have inspiration going on in real life. What's up? What's going on?
Hey, so I just wanted to touch on one of the points I heard earlier about how the orders were non-binding. So that's true. So that was one of the points that a lot of the investors, we got into that knowing that. However, another selling point was that Lordstown was targeted more towards fleet vehicles. So what that means that these fleets are probably putting together more time, resources to plan to upgrade their fleets, as opposed to like individual consumers. If they just want to pre-order a car, you can just cancel anytime. So that was I guess I just wanted to add some more clarity to the non-binding issue. And then the other thing I was going to say is that just like in the last few weeks, we've been seeing Workhorse obviously crater with the USPS contract news, but ARK Invest obviously continues to buy in heavily.
They buy the dip.
They absolutely. So I want to hope that ARK's done enough research and due diligence on Workhorse, and obviously Lordstown being 10% of their company, that they would do enough research to at least, obviously they want to know enough about 10% of like their major investment, so it would make sense to me. So I'm a holder of Lordstown. I'm not buying or selling anything at the moment. I'm not telling anyone else what to do.
Yeah.
But I'm just like you and a lot of people here. I'm just trying to like get more answers. But for the time being, I'm just kind of holding and trying to.
I think all of us will be waiting on the
figure it
sidelines
out.
with some popcorn to see what's going. What? Let's see this play out. I'm really curious to see. I would bet that they'll probably not respond to this at all.
Mm-hmm. That's
Because
what I'm kind of thinking too.
That's the best play for them, just to shut the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
Let it blow over, and just people have short memories anyways, and I'm sure a lot of YouTubers will be saying, well, this is an opportunity, buy the dip, whatnot, whatever. So
yeah, I'm wondering with this one though if it's any different, right? So I'm inclined to agree with you. Like that makes a lot of sense. I'm thinking Lordstown, like going back to your earlier point about this being like a story stock. Like I kind of view it as a little more, a little bigger than pick any other EV spec out there with no sales yet. This had like the American comeback story, especially in
Arrival. If you've seen Arrival, it's very similar in the it's Arrival is I think it's British, also a EV spec.
Oh, it's British. Oh,
I think it's British.
Got it. Oh yeah, but I guess that kind of proves the point.
I'm not saying Arrival or scams. I'm just saying we're talking about EV specs, right? So pre-profit EV specs. Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Hey, listen, I want to give some other people a chance to speak. Thank you for jumping up. I appreciate it. You're a funny dude. I like you. Have good energy. That name is Killer. That name is Killer. I love that. Stonk too. You made me laugh for the first time today. Thank you so much.
All right, man. Keep doing you, man. Keep...
Later, brother. Okay, Luso Freak, you've been waiting for patiently. Thank you so much. You're muted, by the way. I can see you're from Portugal, which is one of my favorite countries. Is Portugal. I'm a huge Cristiano Ronaldo fan.
Thank you. Me too. I was not even expecting to be invited. I just got your stream almost at the end, and what a shock. This Lordstown seems more like an opportunity for for a lot of capital to be put on the market in a SPAC and then go again down. I was not expecting this Hindenburg research, but it's quite shocking. It's already down 16%, and probably it's gonna be again 20% down next week.
Yeah.
I would say. Well,
But
I
look,
wish
on
them
the
the
after hours, it's still going up. People are buying it up. It's up 0.5% in after hours. If you
probably
look back
people
at
don't.
Nikola took a lot of hits, and they always bended but never broke, like a good defense. You know what I mean?
Come on,
And
Nikola
bend but don't
doesn't
break.
even have a factory, right? And
Eh,
Lordstown has this factory from GM, and my bet is if they are going to go really, really down, I'm not sure about this new president, but the other one said, okay, this town cannot go down past the
mhm.
redundancy, but this one I'm not sure what he's gonna do. But I think GM will, let's say, be invited to save them once again.
Another EV SPAC getting saved by GM. By the way, Derek Nickel in the chat says Lordstown are already building beta builds on the production line. See their video. So a lot of people, a lot of people have confidence in them, as you can see. They have, somebody says they have substantial assets. I mean, let's see what happens. I think that the main question for this company would be uh, a question of execution, um, and B, a question of how much they'll have to pay to make this go away, because there's definitely going to be class action lawsuits, um,
Yep.
and it, I mean the stock have went up and down like crazy. So if the U.S., it's extremely litigatory. Every
Yeah.
time somebody,
Non-forgiving.
not for a lot of litigation. So
Yeah.
a lot of smart lawyers will be gunning for them. Let's see what happens. Hey, but thank you for joining up. You want to say something else? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just have two things. Remember what Elon Musk said. It's very easy to make a prototype, but it's very hard to get into production, right? And
I
probably
agree.
this is what they are facing right now, and Hindenburg may also be taking advantage of it. And those things that they put on the report, like marketing, nobody in US especially would take serious if people are using some marketing strategies more aggressive, but it all depends to the law, right? So
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
You have a shout out from Rui Sosa says Portugal, and I like this one. You'd love it. GM the Dreamcatcher.
Yeah, Mary
I thought
Barrett
you'd
to the
appreciate.
rescue.
Yeah, Mary Barrett to the rescue of an EV SPAC. Hey, thank you for joining.
Have a good
Thank you
one.
for the support. I appreciate it. Thank you for watching the stream. I know it's late in Portugal, so thank you so much.
No, man, I'm in Poland.
It's even later.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Later, brother. Okay. Oh shit. Stonk 3. They multiply. What's up, Stonk 3? Hello, hello, hello. Okay, we cannot hear you, Stonk 3. You gotta start your mic, buddy. I'm gonna give it a second more, and then we're gonna jump on on another caller. You good? No, we can't hear you, buddy. Sorry. Hey. Okay. That's how the cookie crumbles. Hey, Stonk 3, why don't you jump on the next stream? I promise I'll try to bring you on. Just make the same name. Okay, so what did we have here? Let's recap this video real quick, right? 5 minutes recap, what we've seen here, and then we'll just basically finish the stream. So in case you're catching the stream late, you're just joining. So okay, so how do we? Okay, comments. Oh, people are subscribing to JKR. Nice. Let's go. I like it. I like helping fellow YouTubers. That's brilliant. Okay, so what did we have here? We have a company that's essentially pre-profit, pre-sales EV trucks, competing with a whole bunch of companies, including the Cybertruck. The CEO was the former CEO of Workhorse, who was already a subject of a short seller report by Fuzzy Panda in October. His name is Steve Burns. According to this newest report, there's a lot of shots taken at him personally, as far as him being not credible, getting fired from Workhorse, as far as the vehicle catching fire, as far as the vehicle not being as nearly as ready as he claims it to be, as far as going out in sales. A lot of different claims, which I don't think none of them would be that serious. A prototype catching fire, okay. However, there was one serious claim that needs to be addressed, which is that he represented for the mainstream media allegedly that these were pre-orders that were sales, and he was talking about 100,000 pre-orders that were sales, while in fact we just saw a screenshot from Hindenburg Research essentially showing us that those were not sales; those were in fact non-legally binding letters of intent, which also included the provision of how both parties will promote the social media of this non-binding letter, which I found extremely peculiar. But I think the main question would be around those pre-orders and how they were communicated to the public, because the question would be, was there an omission of a material piece of information from the potential investors that caused them to lose money? And I think that would be the main question. Um, Tom Nash, Stonk Podcast Uncensored. Let's get it. It gets worse. T-shirt coming. You know what? I'll do it just for you. You'll be the only client probably. Tom will change OnlyFans forever. Let's get it. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Um, it gets curry worse. Okay. Listen, we've been on for an hour and a half. I appreciate your time. I don't want to keep you on this live more than I absolutely have to give you the information. So I don't like to have these 3-hour lives. There's no need. I think we communicated information. We heard from a lot of people. Mostly, we heard from people who were neutral, but also a lot of people who thought it was not a legitimate company, and a few people who were fans of Lordstown saying that the business is legitimate. I value both opinions. This is not an echo chamber. I appreciate both of you coming up and speaking up. Um, I actually think that there's going to be a very interesting thing to see in the next few days. People trying to out clickbait each other about the story. Kathy Wood, Lordstown. Kathy Wood reacts to Kathy Wood took a shit. Breaking news, including myself. I mean, I'll probably be on the same clickbait stuff myself. But it is what it is. This is YouTube now in 2021. Elon Musk farted. What does it mean about Lordstown? Anyways, Ervin says, thank you, Tom. It's been a fun stream. I agree. I had a blast talking to you guys. Thank you for stopping by and watching. I think we're going to sign off at this point. I want to let you guys go do other stuff. Most of you have to do brain surgeries, save the world, so I'll let you have your time. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of your time. Thank you. Shout out to JKR Investing. JKR Investing, who was here on the stream earlier. He's a fellow YouTuber just starting out with 9,000 subscribers. If you have a second, go help him out. I'd really appreciate it. Do it for me. He sounds like a very interesting guy. So, help him out. Nobody was helping me out when I was starting out on YouTube. Big YouTubers were acting like pieces of shit. So I'm not going to do the same. I'm going to be the opposite. Let's try to help him. Thank you all. We'll see you guys in the next stream. Hopefully without Kathy Wood on the thumbnail. But who knows? She probably will be.